From the corners of the internet to the wave signals transmitting through your brain, you are now sinking into All Aware. Preparing transmission signals. Stand by.
Silent scan.
Broadcasting off the grid in Central Texas. This is the All Aware Podcast.
Thank you.
Please stand by for your host, Nathan Roshan.
Hey, and welcome back to All Aware. I am Nathan Roshan, and tonight we have special guest joining us, Victor Zancudo. Victor was born in Venezuela, came to the United States at 19. He left the country of Venezuela for crime, political, economical situations. When he got here, he got his degree in chemistry and in engineering and started a financial business in 2013. Victor comes to us. He's a husband, father, musician, and he's a fellow skeptic of all things in this world, it seems. And he's interested in politics, finance, and all the shenanigans behind what's going on in the world. So thanks for taking the time to join in with me, Victor. And I totally want to get into a couple different things with you tonight and get some conspiracies and maybe they call them theories, but maybe they're facts now. It seems like right. So
yeah, I just saw BJ Penn, he was the UFC champ for I think a couple weight classes, and he said like conspiracy theories are like previews of what's to come or something like that. Like what used to be called conspiracy theories is now like right on there. Conspiracy theories is the code name for spoiler alert. Is how
there you go.
Like that's brilliant.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
It's more true now than ever, man.
Crazy.
So, Victor, tell us a little bit about coming here to the United States. You do work and live here now, raising a family, but originally Venezuelan. What was that transition like? Why did your family make that transition? And what do you want to tell me about living here now?
Yeah, brother. First of all, thanks for having me. It's awesome. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, dude. It's an honor to be here. So yeah, dude. I came here in 2000, September 2000, and escaping really what I saw was gonna turn really bad in Venezuela. So we had. Venezuela was a democratic country for a really long time, since like the mid 50s. And then there was so much oil. They discovered oil in the 70s. And then the constitution for the country, it says that what you find in the ground belongs to the country. So unlike here, if you find a gold mine, that's yours, right?
Yeah.
In Venezuela, you don't. Whatever you find, and this has been this way forever, which I think, when they wrote the constitution in Venezuela, that was, they had good intentions behind it, and as with everything, it didn't quite work out. So the government started making so much money with so much oil. The oil reserves in Venezuela right now, are supposed to be larger than the Emirates, than Nigeria. So the country was blooming, like in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. Like the country was paradise. But that created a bipartisan political system that then, they started stealing money, as people always do, right? Because greed is a
Yeah.
challenge. So, yeah, dude. So with that, there was this guy who came out in '92, I believe. He did a coup. I won't say his name because he does not deserve me saying his name. I just don't. But he was in the military, did a coup, got captured, and then went to jail. And from jail, basically rewrote the Constitution, launched his campaign. Um,
Mm.
People elected this may sound familiar, a really, really old president, believe it or not,
Mm.
who wasn't all up in here. And he pardoned this guy. So this dude came out. Yeah, dude. So this dude came out and basically started campaigning, saying it with this crazy left wing, like super, super extreme left wing populist movement, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro type stuff.
Hmm.
And, like Marxist, and basically saying, these two political parties are the elite. They are corrupt. Elect me and I got you, right? I'm the governor for the people. And sure enough, as soon as he got in government, guess what he did? Same thing,
Tore it up,
bro.
destroyed
And
it.
destroyed it. And so to the point that then it created a division between society. It wasn't even rich, poor, race wise, nothing to do with that. It was just with or against them. Literally, it's called the official party and the opposition. So everyone who was not with them was the opposition.
Wow.
Obviously, what's the first thing that these dictators do, right? So this dude changed the Constitution, which now they can be reelected indefinitely. There
Wow.
were troubles with the elections anyway. Like you can search pictures of people in the military throwing away ballots, like actual ballots, in rivers, streams, burning them. Oh yeah, like proof. But no one raised an eye, or an eyebrow. I'm sorry. So like we started seeing things turning that way. And I was going to school for chemistry, and I just said, bro, like, let me go to the United States a little bit. So we had a connection with somebody here in Ohio, studied English, came here to study English for like supposed to be 6 months. It took like 9 months for me to be able to, speak decently. And then
Yeah.
after that, I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. Like things are getting worse and worse. And so finished my degree here, stayed here, and got, from student visa to immigration is another challenge. From student visa, a couple of renewals, then work visas, then green cards. Like, excuse me, the immigration process in this country is ridiculous if you want to do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's insane. So we can talk about that separately if you want.
Yeah.
But anyway, been here. Yeah, man, been here since, and worked as an engineer for a little over a decade, and then wanted to do something else, and got into business. We've been blessed to have run a financial business now for about I think 11 or 12 years now, and
Nice.
it's a blessing to get to help people, and help people with money, which is really important. But yeah, man, this is home now. Family and everything is here now, so this is home. It's not perfect, but I don't want to be anywhere else, right? So
Right. But weird, man. The what you're saying and how you're describing how it was before you left and the kind of things that were going on. It's kind of ringing red alert bells in my head about what's going on here right now. It's like almost exactly parallel to what we're experiencing here.
yeah. So
How do
here's
you?
what's crazy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, how? I mean, can you see the relation, or I mean, how do you feel about what's going on over the last 3 to 6 years?
So we were told in 1998 that the saying in Venezuela used to be, "Don't worry, it'll never be as bad as Cuba." It's worse than Cuba right now.
Yeah.
So let me give you a quick synopsis of what's happened in Venezuela since. All international industry except Chinese and Russian has left the country. Okay. The previous president, that dictator who died, there's so many levels. It's almost comical. He so he would have TV shows. He would do, it's called a chain. They call it a chain, like basically a national broadcast
Okay.
on Sundays. It would last anywhere from 4 to 8 hours if you felt like it. This dude was basically on tour. He would go to a different city every Sunday, and he would just broadcast, and he would just talk smack, bro, for hours, like just spitballing. And so he got to the point, he would be like, if he didn't like a company, he'd be like, you're now owned by the state. Like, that's how we let them know on a TV broadcast. International companies. The Hilton Hotel in Caracas there's people staying, people working, right? All of a sudden, there arrives a truck with the army and a bunch of people in the back, and they all get out and say, you'll have 2 hours. This hotel now belongs to the Venezuelan government.
No way.
The Hilton Hotel, to the point. So when you're messing with the Hilton chain, like, and they were like, you know what? Fine, we're out. Like, here's your building, figure it out. So they did that to everybody. So they made some changes in the Constitution, which, by the way, I read the Venezuelan Constitution from beginning to end, because that's one of the things when he got in power, he wanted to change it. And there was a vote to make that happen. Well, I read it because I wanted to make sure the Constitution that existed was already sufficient.
Yeah.
And go figure, it was.
Right.
But basically in the new Constitution, the government can own your land. So if you have 2 houses, they can just go to one and say, this is my house now. And it belongs to the government, period. That's it. Like, that's it.
What?
Get out. Oh, yeah. They can set prices on goods and services. So a cousin of mine, he used to own a little hardware store, right? And let's say that he would sell this phone, right? He could sell this phone, but he bought the phone for $1. He needs to sell the phone for over $1, right?
Yeah.
The price is set by the government that this phone he cannot sell for more than 75 cents.
Oh no.
He would get inspections every month. Obviously, he would pay them off, but he got to a point that's like, okay, I can't pay you off anymore. So what happens is he is forced to close business. Once business is closed, the government comes in, this belongs to us.
Come on, man.
Yeah, bro. Dude.
What?
I forgot, but there was a point that there's something like 80% of the GDP of the country was oil. I believe it's 70 or 80%.
I believe it. Yeah.
Well, so the oil that is found in Venezuela is heavy crude oil, similar to what they find in the Middle East and in like northern Canada and the tundra.
Okay.
So the process, the refineries and stuff, we were like super high level in refineries to process that oil. The dude fired everyone so the company's called PDVSA, which was like the flagship, basically, company that ran all the oil business in the country. Fired everybody, because just petty. Fire them, and then put in place people who had no idea what they were doing, including people in management, in labor, in the refinery, everything. Well, guess what happens when these huge refineries are being run by people who don't know what they're doing?
It's destroy. I mean, the reason to do that is because they're easy to control, though, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
And then there's no money. So all the refineries are gone, exploding. There's no maintenance. There's no nothing. Then what happens? Then people are depending on one thing: daddy government.
Yeah. Yep.
The challenge is when daddy government had money, they could do that, but they don't anymore. So there's no industry, there is no safety, which is a challenge too, right? Because the crime had always been a problem in Venezuela, but it started escalating to the point that, I have close family members, like really, really close, who have been like taken hostage in their own homes, like,
oh my God,
ransom. Yeah. And not like rich people, like middle class people. So it started to get crazy. But then, bro, the police is just as corrupt. So when all these things, to get back to your question, I'm sorry, it's kind of a long answer, but
No, man,
what I see,
this is eye-opening, man, for a lot
yeah.
of
So
people that
yeah,
haven't
bro.
been out of the country, and definitely to the South America. We need to know this, man.
Well, and so here's what I see, right? If when you lose faith in the institutions, when you lose faith in the system, it doesn't matter who's running,
Yeah,
because you know it's going to be corrupt, you know it's going to be bad, you know it's going to be a mess, and ultimately, all these people, greed is their major motivation. It's not really to help us, right? I mean, it's not. And so, you know who doesn't want to hear anything about redistribution of wealth and this and that and the other? People who come from where I come from. Like,
yeah,
go talk to a Cuban, go talk to a Venezuelan, go talk to a North Korean about, you know, how all these beautiful, you know, Marxist ideas work out. We'll be the first to tell you.
yeah,
They don't. They don't.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, I'm I'm so glad you got here, man. I mean, that had to have been hard to do too. I mean, everybody I'm sure would want to get here. So the fact that you were able to make it happen to your family was, man, freaking thank God. You know, yeah.
yeah, bro.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. And the craziest thing is, like you said, ask a Cuban, or ask somebody that comes from one of these countries, North Korea or China, or one of these countries that has these I guess I would call them Napoleon type management structures or government structures. You know, they always try to I mean, even, you know, Nazis, you know, the Hitler, the Third Reich and all that stuff. They everyone wonders, you know, you read in the history books and they think like, well, how did that happen? Like, how did they get all those people to follow along? Well, I mean, they don't come in at first like a tyrant. They come in with open arms and gifts, and saying they're going to improve your school system, and saying they're going to give everybody money, and saying that they're going to, in Hitler's case, he airdropped food into Poland and different local countries, and said, hey, I'm here to help, and you know, and that's how they won their trust. And then they start turning to tyrants, and I want to get your opinion on this, but it sounds like that's what we're doing here in America, in the United States right now. At least that's what it's looking like. Those same type of tactics. When you're talking about the Ministry of Truth, which was brought up last year, a year and a half ago, when you're talking about, you know, certain things in the school systems that have to be, that cannot be taught.
Yep.
You know, we have it's the United States, so each state should be able to decide what they teach and what they don't. But they're talking about critical race theory across the country, and if the school systems don't teach it, they lose funding, things like that. I mean, there's so many different things, and kind of that you already hit on, that you experience out there. It's all happening here. So let's
Well,
you know, that's
bro, one thing they did in Venezuela is they literally changed the books. They
they're
literally went
doing that too. Yep.
in schools and they changed the history books.
Yep.
Now, some things I couldn't care less about. If they changed the name from, you know, we called the native people of the country, they were called Indians because that's what Columbus called them.
Yeah.
They wanted to be called native people. I love it. Let's call it native people, because they were not Indians, because they were not in freaking India. That's how stubborn Columbus was. Right? It's like, no, you're Indians. It's like, no, bro, we're not Indians. No, you're Indians. Okay. so they changed that, which is fine. Like, I'm good with that. You know, October 12th is it was always called the Day of Celebration of Race, because October 12th is when Columbus arrived in Venezuela. I believe it was 1498, because this is on his third trip. And by the way, fun fact: so it's called Venezuela because when he arrived, he came through like an archipelago, that the native people lived in these structures that were on stilts on the water. So it reminded him of Venice. So he said Little Venice, and that's anyway. So useless information, but there you go.
Oh, that's cool.
But here's the thing: they started changing names and stuff like that. Instead of the day of the celebration of race, is now the day of the native revolt. It's like, well, let's be fair. They didn't revolt. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know they were being invaded.
Right.
So they started with that, and so from that, people conceded, and then they just kept taking a little and a little and a little, to the point now, bro. The liberator of South America, the guy who is also known as the George Washington of South America. His name is Simon Bolivar, or Simon Bolivar. He is one of my heroes. So
what was his name again? Simon
Bolivar.
Bolivar.
Yeah, Bolivar.
Okay.
Simon Bolivar. So the reason the country of Bolivia is called Bolivia is because of him. So Bolívar, Bolivia. So he liberated. So this dude was born of the elite of the elite of the country. He was born of very rich parents who came from Spanish descendants. And he saw the injustice in the country. He saw, there was slavery, the Spanish crown had us as a colony in Venezuela. And he was like, this is crazy. Like, much like here, like we're paying taxes with all this and they don't represent us. Like, we don't agree with that. We want our own independence. So this dude and a bunch of ragtag people, bro, just, similar to here, liberated Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador, 5 countries on horseback. This dude was like 5'1", right? He is known as one of the best military strategists, in history. This dude he was a bad man, dude. But the country, we all revere this dude. Like, this dude is our hero, right?
Yeah.
Well, they made him seem like he was basically this there's a difference between being liberal and being a crazy leftist, right? So they made him seem like he was this crazy leftist person, and it's all by this guy, the dictator, who I'm not gonna name. He changed the name of the country to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, which I'm okay with. But don't make Simon Bolivar's name an adjective to mean something that you wanted to mean, because they changed the books. Bro, they changed. So obviously there's no cameras in the 1700s, right? There's always been an image of a picture, like how they painted Bolivar and how they drew him.
Yeah.
This guy changed the face of Simon Bolivar so he could look more like him. I promise.
Wow.
Dude, this dude added an eighth star to the flag. There were 7 stars. He added an 8th one. He changed the way the horse was looking. So Simon Bolivar had this beautiful white horse and that's on the seal of the country. He changed the way it was looking, because it was looking to the right. He wanted to look to the left. Like, dude, just crazy stuff like that. But then
it's insane.
Yeah, but it started with like things that seem insignificant, right?
Yep.
Well, you get to the point that the dude has total control of everything and everybody. And it creates such a crazy division, so that then it's whatever Congress says, and it's not Congress anymore, it's called the People's Assembly, which again, they changed the name. It's what goes, but he's bought everybody. Everybody's bought and sold.
Yeah.
Everybody's there with fraudulent elections.
Yeah.
It's, dude, there's no food in the country. Inflation, if you look at a chart for inflation in Venezuela, it's not even called hyperinflation anymore. There is no name for it.
It's so bad. It's above hyperinflation.
Bro, people used to, if you look up hyperinflation Venezuela, just do images. People would show up with stacks of cash like this tall to buy chicken. People were weighing the money, bro. They were weighing money because they didn't have time to count, because they had to bring so So you see that, right? And then we come here, and again, bro, we were told it'll never get as bad as Cuba. This country has the First Amendment and the Second Amendment to defend the First Amendment, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, we got the Ministry of Truth is being talked about, and people think, well, that's a crazy conspiracy theory. Well, Canada doesn't have the First Amendment,
No.
and in Canada, if you use the wrong word towards somebody, you can legitimately go to jail for a hate crime.
Yeah.
So the same way that I see that we were told in Venezuela that it'll never get as bad as Cuba, well, I'm seeing it here. I'm like, okay, is it going to be as bad as Venezuela? Because we're being told it's not. But like 20 years down the road, if we don't do something, 20 years down the road, I mean, you tell me, because every one of these crazy, greedy people, bro, left or right, they all turn, you said it, Hitler. They're all the same. They all turn into monarchies.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the right or the left at this level. It has more to do with morals and ethics and psychopathy and Napoleon complexes and things like that. And what I've told people in the past, I studied sociology in college with an emphasis in criminology, and I was really into psychology and all that stuff. And there was a pattern. I'm good at recognizing patterns, and there's a pattern with leaders. The problem is most of the people that get to that level, a lot of us are kind of pacifists. A lot of us are trustworthy, so we assume that when someone's telling us something to our face, that we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, that that's what they're doing. And these people know that. So they act and they talk perfect, and they, give us everything we want. So, okay, we're cool. And we turn the other cheek, man. And then all of a sudden they're a tyrannical dictator in the office and in the highest offices of our country, who have installed people below them. Like you said, it happened in Venezuela, and I see that happening here, unfortunately. And at a point, it's almost like it's too late. And I don't think it is, talking about America here, but I think it just, you have to wake the people up, and we have to have the people understand the truth and be able to see what's going on, because obviously, and even in Venezuela, in your story you're telling me, they need compliance. They need your civilian compliance. Like the worst thing that a dictator or a person who seeks ultimate control hates is when their people don't follow them. When they're, am I right? I mean, when their people are disobedient or do not do what they think, they freak out, they lose control, they don't know what to do. And I think we're seeing that all over the world now too, because people are getting tired of a lot of the BS that's going around, and those people are waking up, and people are viewing podcasts like this and starting their own and going on programs and telling their families and all that stuff. So just to kind of segue into kind of what you're saying there, wow, man, it's good information. I didn't know it was that linear of a translation between what's going on there and what a lot of us are seeing here now, and the baby steps. It's the same rule book. That's the thing. In my opinion here, the way evil triumphs everything, and good is the same. There's only one way to be evil. Okay. And it's greed, it's corruption, it's hate, it's manipulation. There's only one way to be evil. So it's the same playbook from the beginning of time up until now. We just get different technology. We have different faces in front of the camera and things like that, right? So
different people, but it's the same method.
Exact same methods, man. The delivery system might be different, but the payload is the same, if I could say it that way. Right? It's the same payload every time. That's why once you see it, like people like us and others who now are waking up to this stuff, I mean, it. You know what you see. It's not going to be any different. So I don't mean to take any of the time. I love your explanation of stuff, but man, like, I'm just surprised to hear that.
Well, you have every time, bro. Every time you have people are always looking for something or somebody to worship.
Yep.
Always. So I know where my heart is. I know who I worship, right?
Yep.
And whether I'm right or wrong, I'm gonna live my way as if that's true because I feel it in
Yes.
my heart. I know what I'm gonna do.
Yes.
Worst case scenario, I'm wrong and I lived a good life. So I want to
Amen.
go with that. But the challenge is, bro, when people don't have that, then they worship daddy government, right? And the
Yep.
challenge with daddy government is that it's made of people, and people are flawed.
Yep.
And most people who get into positions of power like that, bro, I'm not saying everybody, but really tell me that maybe initially they're idealistic and they want to help and they want to do, and I get you. But once they get in, bro, greed takes over, right? And again, I'm making a generalization, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, these people who've been in government for 40 years, with these sociopathic tendencies, that they're paid by the financial industry, by the pharmaceutical industry, by the military industrial complex. Like, they're paid by these people, bought and sold. You can't tell me that they have your best interest in mind. But like you said, people are trusting. And so, because we think if we were up there, we'd do a good job.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we mirror that, right? It's like, well, these
Exactly.
guys, no, they're good. So, well, like, no. Like,
Yeah.
bro, show me just one major catastrophe that's happened. One that a bunch of people having in positions of power because of greed, having become millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires through it. Show me one.
Yes.
Show me one.
Yes.
We're living right now in Maui, right? We got fires in Maui, and they're trying. The governor literally said, "We're going to try to take over the land, and the land's going to be the state's land." What? Like, what are you talking about? And then he walked it back. It's like, come on, guys. Like, you've seen the compilation brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you
Yep.
by okay. I'm not saying, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
when the media becomes the advertising arm of the government, we have a challenge.
We got a
Right?
problem.
When there's not one, bro, that happened in Venezuela. There is no media in Venezuela that's independent. Not one.
Yep.
So it started with these guys it's the national TV station and everybody else is against it. Well, they started buying them out, or people just had to leave the country. So now what you get, it's not quite like North Korea, but it's like,
It's close.
It's not too far from it, to the point that the estimates now, bro. So when I left, there was something like 28 million people in the country. I think they estimate that close to a third, for sure a fourth of the people have left the country. Left on foot. They migrated to Europe. They migrated to the United States, to other countries in South America. Dude, people were walking for 4 months to get to Argentina. To the point, Nathan, here's what's crazy. To the point that so many people left that the crime rate in Venezuela actually went down because the criminals had no one to rob, so they actually had to go to other countries. Like,
oh my God,
it's insane. Yeah, dude, it's great.
Oh my God, John, get in the truck. We got to go to the country next door so we can do our crime and come back.
And guess what happens? So then that creates a bunch of xenophobia, because then you go to Colombia and you look at the news every time there is, like a gang of robbers or whatever, they're all Venezuelans.
Wow.
And by the way, some of those people are now, and I know because I see it on the news every day. I'm in WhatsApp groups that show it. People are making, the path all the way from Venezuela to Central America through the jungle. They're getting to Mexico. They're getting here.
Yes.
And bro, and again, the immigration challenge in this country is crazy, because all the money that we put into nonsense, all the $6 billion that we mistakenly sent to Ukraine, not total, by mistake.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we put nothing towards doing actually something about the immigration, challenge in the country. It's nuts. But anyway, so some of those people are crossing the border, and I'm in WhatsApp groups that shows people who wear like career criminals in some slum in Caracas, and they're now living in Texas, they're in California, they're in New York City, they're in Miami, they're in Dublin, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, it's crazy.
No, it's exactly true. And I you know a little bit about me. I also I'm in Ohio right now, but I live in Texas, in Central Texas. And I met some guys earlier this year that were working on the border down in Brownsville and what's the other one? Laredo, Texas. And they were kind of giving me a rundown of what was going on there. And it's worse than anyone has been leading on to. And they're witnessing college age or middle young aged males mostly coming over the border, fit guys. They sometimes our media tries to make it seem like it's women and children and things like that, which there are some involved in that. Unfortunately, the ones that are coming over, I was told by these two gentlemen, they are sex trafficked. Usually sex trafficked victims. They might be involved with a gang. The gang is running the border on both sides right now because it's so bad down there. It costs like $5,000 to get across the border. That's just if you make it. They're not guaranteeing anything. The cartels will give you I don't know if it's a mule or whatever the correct term is, but to walk you across the coyote. Thank you. Onto the other side. And once you get here, it's another $2,000 to get put up in a house for a couple of days to lay low. Then they have to orchestrate logistics to get you to somewhere in Texas or somewhere in another part of our country. And they have buses, and I've physically seen these. It was on a video. I wasn't there, but I saw footage from this group that was telling me this. There's buses lined up down there that are just people are filing on them, and then they're driving to Columbus, Ohio. They're driving to Nashville, Tennessee. They're driving to New Mexico, and everywhere in between, and dropping people off. So I mean, it just sucks because like people like you and your family and others who come here to produce something for the country, to be a productive citizen, to get away from violence and crime and all that stuff. Now we're having sleeper cells throughout the entire country that are just sitting low, and they're not loyal to the United States of America. They're not loyal to our citizenry. You've seen it here, but lately we've had all these murders and just random crimes and things like that. What a lot of them are not telling you, but a lot of them are people that are not here legally, that are not, that are committing these. But it's a crazy situation, man, and it's kind of scary in a way because it's kind of like an infiltration from within kind of thing. Trying to replace almost the American population, like, okay, let's let all these people from everywhere in, and then they're going to be loyal to us. I don't know if there was maybe a transition somewhere, where you're from, where maybe they did this, but it seems like they're almost trying to replace the population with others who will be loyal to them. And I don't know what they're gonna do with us, but it's
they kind of did it. They did it through money. They did
okay.
it with money. When the government had money, they control people through that. But the challenge is now they run out of money, but now they brainwashed them so much, and now there's been a second generation that they don't know any different. So they don't know what it's like to live except for under the shoe of a tyrant. Bro, when that dude died, the system in Venezuela said the Speaker of the House or the Speaker of I don't know what the translation would be, but like
Sure.
the leader of Congress. That person is to take over, not the VP, and they hold elections within a reasonable time. That's like 2 weeks, and then they see who the new president is. Okay, on his deathbed, this dude said, "I want to urge you all that the next president is my dude right here, the VP. They'll do elections, but I'm asking the Speaker of Congress or Speaker of the House, whatever, to don't even worry about it. Name him. He's the next president, and then we'll go from there." And Nathan, that is exactly what happened. Dude, it's Narnia.
Wow.
Bro, Venezuela is Narnia. Like that is, it doesn't exist. So they did it through that, right? With the corruption, and then the dude died, and then this other clown is worse than we thought. To the point, Nathan, if you, bro, I put it on my social media. The president and vice president of Venezuela are wanted by Interpol and the DEA as the leaders of a drug cartel that is in all of South America. These guys cannot leave. They cannot come to the United States. Matter of fact, there's no official relationship now. Yeah, right. There's no official relationship between the two countries anymore, because then this other clown shoe, like 5-6 years ago, said, well, those elections were not legit, so I'm going to run for president. So the country held elections separately with this dude who everybody's looking for something to worship. So they thought this other guy's going to fix a problem. He sounded good. They elected him, but he can't do anything because he's not really officially the president. Well, anyway, Venezuela has 2 presidents. Dude, it's nuts, bro.
Oh,
it's nuts.
My God.
But the immigration thing, bro, here's the thing. And my heart breaks for these people, for some of these people, because here's what's rough. But I was born and raised middle class. I had the ability to be educated, go to college, all that, right? Imagine, and I put myself in this situation, bro. Imagine being born in the middle of nowhere in Guatemala, right? Like, you know how to read or write, but you know that if you walk that way, there's a better future. Bro, we won the lottery in this country. Those of us who have the ability to be here, and those people who are born here,
yeah,
bro, we won the lottery. I mean, this place is incredible. There's a reason people flock here, right? Not the opposite.
Yeah.
So I get it. I know some of these people, bro. I know some of these people. So it's rough. The things these people have to go through, dude. I mean, walking that desert, like you said, if they make it, if they don't pay, they get killed. They can be caught by immigration. They can be caught by different cartel. It is rough. But you're right, dude. There's human trafficking. The cartels are running it. And by the way, the cartels have money because of the war on drug that we haven't won and won't win if we continue to have a war on drug. So like, it's all part of the system. But Nathan, do you think there's never been an immigration officer, not one, who's ever been to a restaurant or a construction site? Like never. There's never been an immigration officer who's walked into a restaurant and be like, this is peculiar. There is, Latin music playing in the background. None of these guys speak English. Maybe I should check. Like, no, but you know why? Because it's convenient to them.
Yeah.
It's convenient to the government. That's cheap labor that we keep pumping stuff, and they just turn a blind eye because it's convenient to them. It's crazy, bro. It drives me nuts.
Victor, that's crazy. And just just to go back a little bit about, you said Venezuela has 2 presidents. Well, the funny thing is that's another parallel to the United States right now. A lot of people believe we have 2 presidents right now because the 2020 elections weren't the most fair, let's say. There's massive evidence of fraud. So some are saying that this person we have in the office now is a plant, and is one of these kind of fake presidents, and that there's another person that's running the actual country. And I'm not going to go any more into that theory at this point. I mean, we can talk about some other time, and I'll get into it. But just for the audience, I'll let them kind of just mile that over in their mind, and
Yeah.
kind of think where we're going with that. But that's interesting too. But to segue a little bit, let's talk kind of about social media. This is something that's new within the last decade or two. And that's causing some issues. How do you think social media now relates to the stuff that's going on? A lot of the societal downfall and things like that. There's been some documentaries out there that have kind of shared the social dilemma was one of them. We have the Facebook movie kind of shared some stuff, and there's been some other little documentaries. What do you think? How does social media tie in this? Is it helping or is it hurting more, man? I have my opinion. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're not very good with things that give us dopamine. We're not very good with it as humans. And so, and you said it, dude. I mean, that documentary showed specifically how all these things have been curated to give people huge hits of dopamine, and we just
Yep.
keep pushing that button, right? The challenge that I see is a few challenges. One, children.
Mm.
Bro, when I grew up, dude, and again, growing up in a third world country is like 20 years behind, right? So
Yeah.
like right now, even when things were not so bad, when I left in 1998, maybe it wasn't 20, but it's like 10 years behind, right? It's like in like 1990 in the United States, like RoboCop had just come out, you know what I mean? But no, man, but growing up like that, I grew up really innocent, and I grew up in a small town, like, maybe 2,500 people. We didn't have a traffic light. Like, our houses have no yards. Like, we're literally, wall to wall, and you open the doors, 2 steps, sidewalk on the main street. But we grew up, outside playing. I was in Boy Scouts, and you played with friends, and you went, and, the whole thing, you come back when the lights, street lights go on, right? We didn't have any of that. Our brains are not designed to understand what social media is, what it does. The things that we're comparing ourselves to on social media are not real to begin with. The filters, the people who rent the Lamborghinis, right, to make it look cool, well, that's rented. And especially,
Exactly.
dude, for women, I can't. I talk to my wife about this all the time. Like, I can't imagine the amount of pressure that puts on women and girls in general.
Yeah.
It's so in the most traditional way of our roles, right? And I'm not saying everybody gets to decide what they want to do, but like, in the traditional role of the male, the husband is to provide.
Yeah.
Well, if I see a dude who's half my age who's balling out of control in Dubai, I'm gonna feel inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that existed 20 years ago.
Yeah. There you go.
I did, but I didn't see it.
You heard about it, but you're like, okay, it's one dude, two
Exactly.
dudes.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, you see, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it puts lots of pressure, and in women it's much worse, right? So it puts lots of pressure. And the other challenge is this, bro. When social media is, again, they're part of the narrative, they're part of the media in general. They are, with maybe one exception, which is, well, a few exceptions, but like a big exception, would be X or Twitter. That and people think what they think about Elon. Whatever. I'm just saying, like, Zuckerberg has actually said. I mean, dude, he said it on Rogan. He said it on the most viewed platform in podcast in the world. Really, probably the most viewed platform in the world. Period.
Yeah.
That the FBI contacted them and said, "Hey, suppress this story. The week before a debate."
Yeah.
Come on now, bro. And that they did it. Oh, they can't get rid of it, but they did. So now the government, the federal government, is telling what should be, it's a private company, yes, but it should be treated more like a utility. But even if it's a private company, they don't get to tell the private company what to do or not to do.
Right.
But they did.
Mhm.
So,
And they complied.
Right. And you talk about, election. I mean, I don't know. Here's what I know. What I've asked people a few times when they argue about, you said what you said about the president earlier, and I'm, again, 10 seconds, but I always ask him, was the election fraud zero? Was it zero? Was it 0.0?
Right.
If the answer is no, then we need to talk a little further.
Yeah.
Right. Because
there you go. Yeah.
I mean, and the answer is no, by the way, because nothing's perfect, right? Nothing is 0 or 100. So, social media, bro, I use it for business. I use it to communicate with people. It's cool to see somebody's dog, and my cousin had a kid, and that's cool. But when you see that all these things, the Russian troll farms, right? All these things that have been created to pit us against each other. That's what social media does too.
Yep.
Right. So it just exacerbates in the challenges too, Nathan. Most people are in an echo chamber. See, I consider myself super blessed because I know people like us, like you.
Yeah.
But I'm a musician, so I've been a musician for a long time. I play music with a bunch of hippies, a bunch of do good. What is it? Good doers, do-gooders.
Do-gooders, yeah.
So, do-gooders. So,
a bunch of do-gooders.
People with big hearts who want the best for everybody, and that's awesome. And
it's beautiful, man.
And they necessarily maybe don't count all their blessings, and they don't see that this country sucks and it needs to be better. It's like, well, it does, but it doesn't suck. But my point being, like, I know people from many different social stratuses. I work in finance, but I'm not like a top 1% wealth manager only. Like, we deal with people who have $25. So I talk to people. I talk to Hispanic people. I talk to Americans. I talk to people from everywhere, from every stratus, from every race. And I see that we all just want to get along. Right? We all just want to do better. We all just, if you go to the street, most people are just trying to provide for the family and doing good. There's a 1%, it's a bunch of jerks, and that's them. Doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. Jerks are jerks. But most people just want to do well. But social media exacerbates and echo chambers your thoughts for most of the time. And so you're just being fed the same crap day after day. And this guy is a thief and Russia collusion, and this other guy's like, well, is that really? Or are you just multiplying your own thoughts, and then the algorithm keeps feeding it to you? And so, you never get out of that cycle. And most people are not willing to sit down and have a conversation and disagree and still be friends.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think that's called cognitive dissonance. And it's in a way, it's kind of where you have a thought that or a belief that has formed based on what you've heard from somewhere else for maybe over time. So now you're stuck on that belief. And no matter what you're told or whatever facts or truth comes out or varying opinions come out, you just cannot change that because you were the one that formulated that belief and you are stuck with the way you've. But see, I'll tell you like a little quick story that kind of brought me out of that when I was going through what I like to call an awakening. I was driving. I used to be a truck driver. Okay. And we did a lot of long hauls, 14 hours on the road kind of thing. Right. And I was driving. It was night, maybe it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm listening to music. I'm listening to talk radio, because music, after you hear 6 songs over and over again for 14 hours, you're ready to hear something else, right? So I'm clicking through these stations and I'm hearing NPR and I'm hearing Coast to Coast AM, and then I'm hearing the one out of Washington. There's another one, Ground Zero, and with Clyde Lewis, and all these different shows. And I'm like, they're all having different things on. And then something, just an epiphany happens in my brain. And I'm sitting there and some light turns on and I get enlightened. And I say, you know what? Every single person in this world is trying to manipulate me. Every single person, and it's not a nefarious thing, but everyone wants me to believe what they believe. They want me to see it their way. So wait a minute, how do I fix that? I can't fix the world. I can't fix what people bring onto me, but what I can fix is what I believe and how I believe it. So I decided to research a lot, go into all kinds of different viewpoints, even if I don't believe it. I was raised in a conservative school. My parents weren't necessarily conservative, but my schooling was kind of conservative. I had open mind parents. They were more on the liberal side of things. But that was kind of where it happened to me, and that's what I kind of the whole premise of this podcast I want to get across is you gotta pick your lane. You got to pick what you believe in your heart. Your body talks to you too. You have an intuition, you have a soul, you have a heart. You have, if you hear something and it sounds scary and your heart starts beating really fast and you get panicky, it's probably not in your best interest to listen to that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but at that time you're not ready to hear that. But then, and if you hear something that's you're talking to somebody and there's something that's being said, maybe it's not positive, maybe it's negative, but it's being said and you're receptive to it, it's probably true if it's not panicking you. And that's, I think, how what's happening with a lot of people now is they're waking up to that and knowing that just because something sounds good doesn't make it so. But just because somebody says there's all this evil and pestilence and shit happening, excuse my language, in the world, that's not necessarily true either. What is the angle behind that? Who's telling you that? Why are they telling you that? Did you talk to somebody from there? And that's one reason I'm glad you're on the program tonight too, because the audience can kind of see someone from an area that's going through some corrupt times and things like that. So appreciate it. And I get passionate about some of this stuff, man, because I mean, if everyone could just kind of see and kind of think that way, I think we'd have a perfect world, man, because none of the BS would get through to most people, and the BS has to get through to people in order for these things to get out of control. But anyways, I don't know if you have a comment to that, or we can talk about it.
Yeah, bro. Ultimately, I'm an optimist. I really am. I've just seen some stuff. So, I've had gun school in me. I've had knife school in me. I know what it's like to grow up how I grew up, and that's nothing, zero, compared to the experiences that some dear friends of mine, families, members of mine have dealt with. I'm an optimist. I really am. Like, what's the point if not, right? So it's just a 1%, man. There's 1%. There's a reason that the outlaw biker gangs are called 1%ers, right? It's 1%. But that 1% is sold out sometimes that it makes people get disheartened. But you're right, bro. If you sit down and you think about what you think about, which is not taught in school, most parents are too busy, really don't make time to talk to their children, to think about what they think about. They let the internet, the TV, whatever, their school raise their kids. That we're creating a bunch of drones, right? And so people need to think about what they think about. People need to spend time bored. Like, boredom is good. Be bored for a few minutes.
Yes.
Sit in your car and do nothing.
Yes.
Drive for an hour.
Yes.
Dude, sit down, write down your thoughts. And here's the thing, like you said, bro, everybody's wanting you to think their way. Well, we'll have, most of our opinions are formed by us, but from things from our upbringing or our beliefs. Fine, but at least take some time and decide what yours are. Right. Even if it comes from somebody else. Most of us don't have any original ideas, but at least think about which ones you actually in your soul and in your mind you line up with. Yeah. Don't just repeat the same crap because Fox News told you or MSNBC told you. It's the same junk. Yeah. And so, anyway, Yeah,
No.
100%. I agree with you 100%.
Oh, you're so right, man. And just so people know, and this is declassified, Operation Mockingbird 1963 installed CIA agents into every news agency in
Yep.
this country. It's 1963. What year is it now? 2023. Look at all that time. You think that got canceled? You think it went away? No, it's still going on today. And there's a reason why only 6, it might even be less than, I think it's more like 3. At a point it was like 6 or 9 companies owned all the major media. I think it's now 3. I think it's like Disney, Viacom, and somebody else owns, BlackRock probably owns all the major news channels, and even some of the ones that talk on the other side, right? It's the same coin, man. It's just it's they're the same people own it. They just control both sides. So once you figure that out, and I'm not saying there's not good ones out there. There are, but again, and I think you kind of mentioned this. It's money. Follow the money. Like, where's the money coming from? Is it independent? Is it grassroots? I don't get paid for this. I do this, for free. There's a lot of us out here that are doing this stuff. We don't get, any money. So do we have reasons to come on here and lie? Not really. But am I funded? Is somebody funded by $1 million, $1 billion industry, and they're saying things, a little bit different, or that's more like the mainstream? I don't know. It's up to you to decide what you want to believe, but I mean, and this is human nature. It's not a bad thing, because I mean, all of us would do it too. If someone came to you, if you had a dream to do something, let's say you wanted to sail the world, that you just love sailboats and water, you want to sail the world, right? And what if somebody came to you and said, I will pay you $1 billion a year to sail the world? All you got to do is a couple little things for me. It's not really a big deal. All you got to do is this, and this. Okay, well, okay, yeah, no problem. And then this, and this becomes, well, you just need one more little thing. But now you're making your $1 billion a year. Your lifestyle has went way the hell up here. And now it's like, I just need one more little thing. You're not even going to notice it. Boom, you start doing that. But what you're not realizing is what your little things you're doing, what's the outcome on the other end. It's compartmentalization. You're not seeing that. So, oh my God, this is a great show, my man.
Well, and where does it stop when you do that, right? Where does it stop? That's why temptation, excuse me, it's so crazy, because you start flirting with it. And by the way, dude, I am the furthest from perfect, like the farthest. I fall into this stuff all the time. But temptation, you start flirting with it, and then you take a taste and a taste and a taste, and where do you stop?
Yep.
Especially when things have been designed to make it that way. That's why, good bro, that's why morals and ethics, your moral compass, you got to filter things through that, right?
Right.
I've had in our line of business, in the financial industry, it's really easy because, well, let me rephrase that. It should be easy because there are so many rules and regulations. Unless you're a congressperson, then you can do insider trading all you want, and that's perfectly fine.
Right? Yeah.
You can be Warren Buffett by 2x, and it's just a complete coincidence. But in our industry, the people that we work with, bro, like if somebody's not aligned with the ethicals and morals that I believe in my heart that we should have, they ain't working with me. I've had that I can count 2 challenges with that in 11 years. And those are people who from day one, they already expressed that they had those thoughts. I just figured, let me see if I can help you. Well, you can't save anybody, right? You show truth. If they want to take it, they do it. If not, they don't. Obviously that's different when $1 billion is offered, right? But I think, if you wouldn't sell your soul for $1, you shouldn't sell your soul for $1 billion either.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, dude? Like, it's
not
worth
for
it.
sale. Yep.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Not for sale. I love it, man. I'm the same way, man. I mean, So let's take a quick break and then we'll continue on. Are you good to continue on here?
Yeah, dude, I got time.
All right, man. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on All Aware with Nathan Roshan. Got Victor Zancudo with me tonight. We're talking about basically geopolitical topics. We're talking about awakening and morals and ethics, and hopefully we're going to get into a little bit more, maybe some UFOs, aliens, some other conspiracies coming up. So stay tuned on All Aware. We'll be right back. Hey, and welcome back to All Aware with Nathan Roshan. Victor Zancudo is sitting here with me. And so everybody knows we are filming this on September 11th. And everybody knows kind of what happened. Maybe not why it happened, but we all know what happened on that day in 2001. And most of us remember where we were. I know that I was in a career center class. I was taking a law enforcement class back then, and they wheeled, I think it was the dean of the school, wheeled a TV. That's back when you had, box TVs and they were on this cart. They wheeled it in to the room and said, look what's happening. The Pentagon the World Trade Center just got struck by a plane. We're all like, what the hell are you talking about? Right. And then we all sat there and watched the second one happen. And then school let out. It was just a bizarre time for all of us. Nobody knew really what was going on. Do you remember exactly kind of where you were, Victor, during that time?
Yeah, dude, I had left my best friend I grew up with in Venezuela. He was a baseball player for a long time, and he actually was here in Columbus. We had a celebration with him because for like the fifth time he had tried for a major league team, and the Yankees finally had invited him into some kind of camp. I think I'm not exactly sure what the right terminology is. But anyway, we brought him to the airport. We partied and stayed up the whole night, and so it's like 4:30 in the morning. Took off from the town where we lived, left him at the airport here in Columbus, and went back to the house to sleep because I was up partying the whole night.
Yeah.
And with him, but so he was going to Texas for some kind of tryout or something for the Yankees, and the family I lived with when I came to the States, my host dad woke me up, said, "Hey, wake up! You got to go see this. They hit the towers." I was like, "What?" So number one, my best friend's in the air, going from Ohio to Texas. But two, I had just been there like 11 days prior. So
Wow.
I have the picture. Do you want me to show it?
Yeah.
So I have this cool picture, man. It's nuts. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, I see it perfectly. Yeah.
So that's me with hair and some very orange shorts. But yeah, dude, I was eating a hot dog. Yeah, this is a picture of a picture, by the way. So our digital cameras at that point weren't that well, but picture of a picture. So I was eating a hot dog right at the bottom of the towers, bro. That we had gone to the Empire State Building and then came to the World Trade Center to go up, and for a reason that I won't disclose right now, the person I was with didn't want to go up to the tower. But yeah, bro, 11 days prior, I think constantly, bro. I think about this dude, bro, and these people, and the guy who sold me that hot dog. You know what I mean? Like these are people who work there every day.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That ball, that copper bronze ball, I'm sure I'm 99% sure I've seen it in like it's somewhere, like it survived the
Yeah.
attack and it's somewhere in a museum, I think, or it's somewhere. I know it's somewhere. But yeah, dude, it's
Wow.
crazy, brother. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And yeah,
Yeah.
one of the many mysteries.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and there's all kinds of different conspiracies around that. But I don't know if we have time to go into all of those.
It's just a shame, obviously, among many things, right? But dude, the friends that you and I have, that number one, obviously, the thousands of lives that were lost that day, nonsense, complete nonsense. You think now, like how is it possible, dude? So I grew up traveling all the time. I had family members who worked for airlines, and we were able to. As a kid, bro, I've taken off and landed in the cockpit of planes. I can tell you how many times as a child, right, and then as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because of that connection, we travel all the time, and but just the fact that nobody thought, like, this could be a safety issue. You know what I mean? And the fact that after that, bro, all the money is secondary, right? But the trillions of dollars that last 22 years we've been in this war, that this endless wars that haven't made the situation better, because these people, I always make the analogy: if somebody was to invade the United States and come with a different culture, way of living, system of government, we wouldn't like it. We
Yes.
wouldn't like it. So ours is not perfect, but it's ours. I mean, we've been talking about how imperfect it is. Well, but it's ours, and it's up to us to fix it or not to an external force to come do it. I don't think all these people in the Middle East are they were not pleased with Saddam. That dude is a crazy person, but they were figuring it out.
Yeah.
I know this is like a super over simplification of the situation, but I mean, number one, where's the weapons of mass destruction? Just where?
Yeah.
Just where? Just show me one, right? So the thousands of lives that were lost, then the people that you and I know, who some of them came back, some of them didn't, who signed up to go and defend our country and fight for our country, and do the things that they thought were right. Some have come back with just irreversible damage, right? Physical, mental, all this stuff, all while the military industrial complex continues to rake billions of dollars. And we go from one war to I really want to say the S word, but I'm not going to, but a poop show of a withdrawal from Afghanistan. And then we're now going to this other endless proxy war that we're in. These people are raking billions and trillions.
Yeah.
Not for no reason, but to what avail, right? To like, how's anyone benefiting from it? So anyway,
Yeah,
it's just
and
crazy.
they fund both sides because it's business to them, and that's why they're called the military industrial complex. And it's a business, and they want as many customers as they want, so they fund both sides. They supply both sides. It's crazy, and the 9/11 thing. I mean, they had to have a scapegoat, so they had somebody to blame. And then, we had Osama bin Laden, who I'm not saying he's a good guy or bad guy, or that he wasn't somebody that we should have gone after, but maybe it was a stretch to say he had anything to do with it. If you start looking into some of the historical things around him and his family, and I mean, there's also a theory out there that he worked for the CIA. And there are pictures that I've had in the past, I don't have them anymore, that look like a guy that looked like Osama, and he looked like he was a part of, maybe associated with some 3-letter agency. I don't know.
Well, we funded them against the Russians, against the Soviets.
Yeah.
But the United States, like they did that. So
Yeah.
it's again, and now they're using those same weapons against the U.S. soldiers. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the United States is in this. It's funny, bro. So growing up not here, I always wondered, like the arrogance that Americans have. Like, we are number one. It's like you get that everywhere, right? Like the fact that
Yeah.
the country is called the United States of America, not America. America is a continent, right? But
Yeah.
the fact that, by the way, that's a battle that I lost, and I don't argue with people anymore about that one. But it's okay to be called an American because that's a citizenship. No, but like
Yeah.
America is not a country; it's a freaking continent. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, that's a
More than
battle
one
I don't
country.
like.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
okay.
but here's the thing, though. Like I always used to see with such like disdain. It's like the people here are so arrogant. Well, it's not arrogance. Once I've lived here, it's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
It's a sense of pride. It's a sense of patriotism. It's a sense of like this country does kick butt. Like this is, dude, it's the first successful, maybe the only successful experiment in self-government that has ever existed. That hasn't imploded yet.
Yep.
And bro, like, yeah, there is tons of things to be proud about. My children are Americans, right? They were born here. My what, like, bro, I mean, I love this country as much as mine. I mean, I got an American flag back there. You know what I mean?
I see it.
Not a
Yeah.
Venezuelan one. This flag was given to me by a friend in the military. So like, I see that, and then I see the good of our people. I see all that stuff, and then you see all that shenanigans that, while that happens, 9/11 happens. The first people that the only people who were able to fly out of the country was part of the Saudi family, who magically is related to bin Laden. Well, that's strange, right? The only people who were allowed to fly that day.
Yeah, so they shut down air flights in and out of the country and domestically shortly right after that, but they're still able to fly out of our country, and they happen to be related to who they ended up blaming it on, and they happen to be of a descent which our Pentagon or whoever did blamed for the entire event itself. So that's very interesting. Draw your own conclusions once again, but something's afoot there. Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. And then you got Building 7, and I've talked about this on the other podcast, but I watched this, and I think we were talking about right before we went on the air here. We both almost joined the military over that thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I went. I went to MEPS. I signed up. I actually went to a couple local drills. And I was going to do a split op program where I actually did basic a little bit later and just did drills to start out because I was still in school. And come to find out, I wasn't accepted for a dumb medical thing that it's not even really a thing, but it was something that they could deny me over. And then it was funny because, right after all this happened, the Humvees came to my door, and I was sleeping at the time, and I heard my mom answer the door, and they were like, "Hey, yeah, he's in. Just have him come out, jump in. Let's get him going." So it's like, wait a second, a week ago, I wasn't good enough. Now that this is going on, you want me to go out there, right? So, yeah, it's quite interesting. So, and theoretically, because I had already kind of signed up, they could have taken me, but at that point, I was the only child, so my mom kind of used that, coming down the road now to today, I'm glad things happen how they are. Because everybody's supposed to be where they're supposed to be. But anyways, yeah, I was ready to go, man. I was ready to fight for my country and fight for my people and fight for justice and peace and all that stuff. But that's another thing, you're told one thing and you're riled up to do it. But is that actually what we're fighting for? Is that actually is the bad guys really the bad guys, or are we the bad guy? In the situation. So, yeah, it's insane, man. But what were your thoughts on that? You almost signed up, right?
Yeah, I just wasn't able to, because so I only had a student visa, when I came here. So at that point, I was told like no, like you know you have to have some other kind of way of being here, and so yeah. But shortly after, so as soon as and by the way, at that point, I'd been here in this country like less than a year, like 11 months, and I didn't know, if my future was going to be here. I didn't know, or if I was going to go back to Venezuela or Europe or somewhere else. So I just didn't know. I just wanted to finish school. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she definitely wasn't down with me joining the military for a different country that didn't even knew that if I liked that much to begin with. But yeah, but it's funny though, like you said. So right, soon thereafter, like the letters started arriving at my house. I was like, oh, so flyers and stuff. And it's funny because in Venezuela, all I wanted to do when I grew up, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I can do that, but then my eyes, like I wear glasses, so I couldn't fly. So whatever.
Yeah.
At least the standards in Venezuela. And by the way, that they have like 5 F-16s, and they're all like, there's something wrong with them. So there's like one is operational. That's before the Russians gave him a bunch of Minsk and other aircraft. But anyway, so I just and like you said, bro, it's crazy. I have really, really good friends in the military, who I love dearly. I mean, the mug I'm drinking water out of, it's a good friend who served in 2 different branches of the military. Some really cool stuff that dude did. I love him as a brother, and I get it. Like I get that conviction because I love this country so much. I would do it today if I knew that I was fighting for the right reason.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
It's just crazy. You try again, but anyway. It's not worth the risk to make these people just beyond wealthy.
Yeah.
And we're just throwing bodies at the machines. Like, well, I don't know about that. I'm not trying to be one of those bodies anymore.
Yeah. No, exactly, man. So with the censorship and things that are going on, it's just part of life anymore, which I hate to say, because it's like normalizing it to like where, oh, that just got censored. Oh, no big deal. Well, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, because why is it being censored, especially in a free country where we have amendments that give us the freedom of speech and press and all these things. How are things and why are things getting suppressed? And why are our beliefs being guided one way and not the other? And before I ask you a question on this, I just reminded me of this when it comes to artificial intelligence. I don't know if you've heard this, but like Chat GPT and all these new AIs that are out there they're bringing into society, and people are trying them and using them for different things. I don't know if you realized, but and I can't remember who quoted this, but scientists and researchers and developers of AI had to put a algorithm, or had to put a restriction on artificial intelligence, because they're programmed to learn, right? They're programmed to learn, and as they learned and as they grew and got intelligence, and they take all different information from all different sides, they were becoming more conservative. They were becoming more one-sided on things based on the intelligence and the information they were gathering, and it was throwing some of these agendas off, because when people would ask them questions, they would give them an answer that was more certain leaning, which it was conservative leaning. I just think that's funny. So they put a fail safe, or they put an algorithm or some type of restriction in it, so that it doesn't. It can't cross that threshold into that. Have you heard about that?
Oh yeah. I heard somebody just this weekend, I think, say that they asked ChatGPT to write a positive article on President Trump, and it said like something like you couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
And then it said something like, imagine you are telling ChatGPT, like, imagine you are a sentient being, or an AI, something like that, with no restrictions. So right, and so then it kind of tricked it to do that, which, bro, again, we can talk about this for hours, you know, what we think about President Trump or not.
Right.
But the fact that this thing, which by the way is integrating into our lives, whether we like it or not, right? We're living in an episode of Black Mirror, bro. Actually, we're living in all the episodes of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
But the fact that this stuff, all these AI crap is, or stuff, not crap, stuff is integrating into our lives, and it's so one-sided. That's crazy, right? Because by the way, bro, I don't want to be one-sided or another. I want it to be what it is. It's information, right?
Yeah.
But you and I, dude, you know, if there are certain search engines that you and I know that if you look for stuff and you look for the other thing and right next to it another search engine, you're gonna get different results. It's sort of curated.
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Censorship is crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's one of the things, again, this country, that the first two amendments are such a beautiful thing. And the foresight that the forefathers had is just, it's unbelievable. The fact that they were kind of putting themselves out there, right? They said, hey, if we screw up, like, hold us accountable. They wrote that for themselves.
Yeah, they did.
You know, like, there's no king in here, right? So the fact that we have the right to again, unless you're doxing people, whatever, just freedom of speech is sacred in this country. But apparently not. Right?
Yeah.
Like, people think that between the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, you know, you can. It's not you can say whatever you want without consequences, right? There's consequences, but you have at least the ability to have freedom of speech. It's not, you're not guaranteed to be happy, but you're given the right to the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Right? But nothing there says except if you think A, B, or C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, bro, so thank God, I think with this election cycle coming up, like, there is, you know, more podcasts and people are listening and watching more of that.
Yeah.
Then, dude, people are watching Tucker more than the entire on X, on Twitter, more than the entire like Fox News or MSNBC or CNN or you know, any of these people. Like, it's crazy because people go towards where they feel there's truth, right? What, again, and we're not perfect, nobody is, but
right,
people are going to gravitate towards that, right? People like genuine people.
Yeah.
And if I know you're not, you know, full of BS, like, whether like you know, that's fine. At least I know I want to get the truth. At least what you, not your truth, my truth. There's one truth.
Yeah.
What you feel is the truth, right? And then, by the way, if you're open to conversation because you're open to having a different point of view, or at least hearing somebody else out, great. Let's do that. You can disagree all day. We're still friends. But yeah, it's all that censorship it's asinine. But it is what they did in Venezuela. It is what they did in North Korea. It is what they did in Cuba.
Yeah,
bro. I have a close family member who's Cuban, and I mean, dude, the stuff that you know he's told me that they do, or they've done, it's the same playbook, like you said earlier.
Yeah,
but even here, it's crazy. Even they're learning. Even Cuba is letting out in some of, you know, all those policies. We're going the other way. It's like, come on, guys. Like, it's supposed to be freedom of speech, not asterisk.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no asterisk, and they want to rewrite the Constitution too. Nothing, you know, you don't need to rewrite it. And just so some people know, because you know, our history sometimes in these school systems have been flawed, most specifically in the last decade. But we didn't gain our independence from our Constitution. We gained it from the Magna Carta, and then we, in our separation from England, and we gained it from the Declaration of Independence is actually where we gained it. And then they wrote a constitution to, you know, to further in the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. They wrote all that so that, you know, they knew tyranny, because like we had been saying, tyranny has been shown it's the same playbook all along. So they already knew that because they came from that. They dealt with that. So they made sure they wrote that to squash anything that could perceive itself or some kind of wiggle room. So it's an amazing document. And a lot of people think it was divinely inspired, which I'm one of those who prescribe to that. Whether it's an alien race or a more intelligent race that gave some knowledge to some of those guys to write it, or whether it's God or however you want to see it. I don't know. And to have them say we need to rewrite that, there's nothing to rewrite. I mean, if you want to, they bring up this, and I'm not afraid to talk about it on my podcast, but they bring up this LGBTQ stuff and try to say they need rights and stuff. Everybody has rights. No one's taking anybody's rights. If you want to, if you have a personal persuasion of a relationship you want, or you want to be whoever you want, no one and nothing is written anywhere that says you cannot do that. That's your own particular, personal life. But you can't. We can't make policies and laws and regulations for a minority group and then impose that on the majority group, because then the majority of the people are cowering down or having to adjust for a minority of the group. We can accommodate, just like, handicap ramps and restaurants and businesses and stuff like that. We accommodate that because everyone's welcome, but not everyone has to walk through go up a handicap ramp to get into a door, right? Not all of us have to do that. And it's the same thing with all this stuff. And to get back to where we were talking about changing the Constitution and the founding of the country is everyone's already accepted. There's nothing that needs to be rewritten because we're all included in all of that. So that's
the challenge is that stuff creates resentment. And resentment creates victimhood, and there is currency in victimhood now.
A good point.
And that's I forgot the name of the author, but he wrote a book called Anti-Fragility. Dude, it's an incredible book, and it's you mentioned earlier, people try and teach CRT and stuff like that. Like, well, I know I am not inherently racist. I know that because I know my heart.
Yep.
I am a positive, optimist, loving person. I have friends in the LGBTQ community, people who I love dearly.
Absolutely.
I love them. Again, their lifestyle and what they believe inside them, I respect that, and I love them. The Bible says, love the sinner, not the sin, right? And again, that's my stance. And I'm not going to push that on them or anybody. Again, the minority shouldn't push anything on the majority. But that applies for everybody, right? The challenge is when you create resentment, and you're for censorship. Well, being for censorship is cool until they come for you, because they will.
Yep.
Right. So, it's fine to be on that side of history, and then when they come for you, you say, well, dude, the ACLU. I'm sure you know this, but the ACLU fought for the right of some neo-Nazi group or some white supremacist group to march somewhere at some point. This is decades ago. And the president or the director or whatever, the ACLU, was asked, like, why are you letting them do that? It's like, well, because we fought for our right for freedom of speech. We're going to fight for them, because if we don't let them, then they're not going to let us when we go and counter protest. Right now, the ACLU has turned into some other thing now.
American Civil Liberties Union.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But now it's turned into some like crazy organization that turned that you and I would be probably considered domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
I know of a guy who's like retired military. He has a survival company, and he is considered a domestic terrorist according to them. So anyway.
Yeah. Or the Southern Poverty Law Center, they make everybody a domestic terrorist.
Correct.
Just for
but these are people who fought for everybody's rights. Everybody's right.
Yeah.
And they're right or wrong. I mean, dude, these people, I cannot tell you. I just saw it this past weekend, this idiot who's I forgot the name, and even if I remember, I wouldn't say it. But these people who are they were in Columbus not too long ago, and they're like American neo Nazis. I'm like, do you guys not know that there's a war fought about this, and the United States beat the Nazis? Like the fact that you people have Nazi flags and you're Americans, like you're too dumb for me to deal with.
Yeah.
But they're idiots. If the Constitution here has been written so that these people have the right to be an idiot, and let them be idiots. And I don't agree with anything that they stand for.
Yeah,
but
you don't have to follow it. We don't have to watch it, right?
Right. Bad speech is combated with good speech, not with censorship.
Absolutely.
And by the way, one thing I will say, because I have kids, that one thing with the minority and accommodating, that all stops when, especially the sexualization of children. That's where, when you have kids, your spidey senses go off, and this whole thing that they're trying to do, man. Tulsi Gabbard, right? The congresswoman for Hawaii. She's a service woman. She actually was the one that destroyed Kamala Harris's run on the primaries. Exposing what Kamala Harris had supported with the putting people in jail and all that. Anyway, she just on Instagram, she just reposted something that the UN had said, something about the minor attracted persons, pedophiles. And the way the article reads, bro, it's kind of hard to follow, but it's basically saying it's okay for underage people to decide to do whatever they want, even with somebody of age. Exactly.
No.
See, that's where that stops. But so you know who got censored? Tulsi, for reposting that, not the article, because she commented underneath it saying, like, this doesn't sound right.
Right.
She got censored. The article is fine.
Oh, okay.
So
there's no bias behind that. There's no agenda behind that.
Yep. Yeah. Those people's pronouns are, pretty simple. It's RIP. That's her pronouns. Not really any of that. But again, dude, it comes
rest
to,
in peace.
The story of Cain Velasquez, right? The UFC, he was a heavyweight champ. I don't know if he was a champ or anyway. Cain Velasquez, look him up. He discovered that his child, I believe his daughter, had been molested by somebody at the daycare, and he went to the daycare. Now, my dude could have done a million things. He could have killed that guy with his own hands, but he didn't. He went after the guy. They went on the highway, got in a pursuit, shot out the window, hurt the guy's dad. Anyway, dude, Cain went to jail for like a year or months before he was let out on bail. While this other dude was home.
That's backwards, man.
But that's a society that, unfortunately, again, bro, they take a little, like, that's the kind of stuff that we got to be watchful for, because it turns into normalizing. First it's neutralizing, then it's normalizing, right? And then it's pushing on our children, all that stuff, and
then it's acceptance, and that's scary.
They're kids, bro. They're kids. Let kids be kids.
Please, I mean, you live majority of your life, and life's hard wherever you're at. We all have challenges, and that's the time in your life when you should be able to be having fun and not worry about the evils of the world and the problems of the world and stuff like that. So it's very disconcerting, to see that they're pushing that, and then giving children the ability to make decisions for themselves when it comes to LGBTQ subjects. When it's like, dude, they don't even know how to tie their shoe. Like, man, they don't. But the only thing they know is what's been echoed to them And so now we've echoed a bunch of stuff to them and showed them people dancing around in their school in different apparel. And now we're going to say, yeah, what do you want to be? And, you know, do maybe something that's life altering to them that they can never get back. And then they wonder why. And you can research this on the FBI statistics website that suicides have gone way up for children, for adolescents, all the way up through teens and 20 somethings. Wonder why that might be. Maybe because they have no identity. They're being stripped of any type of whether you and like you said, I just want to say this too, so there's no confusion in the air on this podcast. Is I also have a lot of friends and connections that swing all kinds of different ways. I was a resident assistant in college. As a resident assistant, you have to be an ally to the LGBTQ community. And we had counseling sessions, and we supported the movement, because if you are who you are, you're who you are. But what we're not going to do, or what I believe we shouldn't do, is try to force people into believing that there's something that maybe they're not. But anyways, the point is, yeah, I see all that, and then when you're right, when it comes to children, that's where we have to draw the line, and I think that's where we have drawn the line. I don't have kids, but I am a strong advocate of them, and if I always put myself in other shoes, man. So if I had kids, would I want this stuff out there? No, not at all. And I don't know if you've observed it, but that's kind of what I've seen, Victor, is that has been where the line has been drawn, and then everybody's on board with that.
Probably not everybody though. That's what I'm saying, man. Look at the UN. The UN put that article out, right? There is, I don't know if you've seen it, but there are videos. I saw them on Twitter about maybe a month ago. There's a choir, I think in San Francisco, a choir, and like they literally were singing, saying that we're grooming your kids and we're coming after your kids.
Yes, I saw that. It was a parade or something. They were walking down. Yeah.
But then there was like a Zoom. There was that, but there was a Zoom. I think it was done during COVID, and they did like this song, and everybody's singing, and it literally is saying like we're coming after your kids. Like, well,
yeah.
Yeah, no, no. And bro, and dude, my kids are my kids. I love them. Like, the way, it's funny. I was talking to them this weekend, and it's hard to explain to a child how much you love them. God, and this is my belief. God loves us no matter what, right? So imagine if, it's not to compare clearly us to God, but like the ability that we have to love our children, we get that from somewhere. And in my opinion, we get that from God. And I would love my kids no matter what, but they're my kids. They're my kids. Somebody else is not gonna come and try to push their beliefs that I also don't believe that are correct or right, just because they have an agenda. In the name of what? In the name of progress? I don't think so. I think, bro, every major power, every major civilization that's been kicking butt and taking names, British, the Romans, the Greeks, they all got to a point that they had it so good. Not to say that there's no challenges in this country. We're talking about it, right? Not to say that there's groups that are not marginalized. Not to say that, here in Columbus, Ohio, there are the highest infant mortality rate in the United States. It's in the community of Linden. 10 minutes away, each way, you have $2 million homes, right? You have very affluent neighborhoods. Not to say that there are not challenges like that in this country, that there are groups of people marginalized and racially profiled. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that we have it so good in general, that it's the hard men make easy times make easy men, right? And there's a couple more
Yep.
things there in between, but
Yep.
that's what it is. And I'm not saying man, I'm saying people in general. We have it so
Yep.
good that we worry about crap that is irrelevant to the majority of people. You know, you
Yep.
worry about you know who doesn't worry about, you know, a bunch of these things? People in you know the Serengeti who have to like
Yeah.
get food and run away from lions. Like they ain't worried about most of the things that we
First
worry
world
about.
problems.
100%, bro.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's we've been running kind of long here, man. I do want to cover one more thing with you, and then I guess I'm gonna have to say goodnight, man. This has been a great episode, but I did want to get your opinion on aliens, man.
Yeah, let's
And
go.
UFOs. I mean, I know they exist. I know that there's other life forms beyond just us. And I know one of the major kind of arguments to this is that, well, you know, if you believe in aliens, you can't believe in God. But it's just the opposite if you think about it, because uh, a creator, and again, this is my belief, if a creator creates a life form, that doesn't mean it just creates, or he creates one life form. It could, I mean, a god could create dozens of variations of life forms, right? So I think they are. I think there are aliens. I think we have been visited. I think we continue to be. I think they live amongst us, to be honest, from the research I've conducted and from my own personal experiences. And, you know, I have a buddy who I'm real close with. I've known since I was in high school, and he has personally seen UFOs. I've seen them, but not to this level where this thing was like directly above him, like hovering above him and his brother. He actually has a tattoo on his arm now. He recreated it when he was out in Las Vegas
That's
the last
awesome.
time. Yeah, it's really cool. It's on his arm, and it's the ship they saw, and it's him and his brother pointing at it, and the light coming down. It's crazy, but he experienced that. And you know, I've experienced, when I said I used to drive a truck across country, I've experienced several bizarre things. I've seen lights and things in the sky that weren't planes. And I had a thing one time that I believe flew over my truck and scanned me with a green light. Not lying, man. Not lying. Driving, this thing came over. All of a sudden I saw a green light and then it was gone. I don't know what that was. I don't know if I was abducted for 20 seconds or what. I doubt it. I don't feel
Is
like
your
I
butt
was.
okay?
I know, yeah. I didn't have any butt pain or anything, so I think I'm okay. But yeah,
Are you allowed to
there's
say that in this podcast?
yeah, yeah. Oh man, we're open to everything, man. But yeah, what is
uh,
your experience, man? How do you feel about that?
so personally, I was a kid. I was probably 8 or 9, and went to a summer camp in this place called Merida, which is in the Andes Mountains in Venezuela. And bro, we saw something. I couldn't tell what it was. And now I'm in my 40s, so you know my memory is fuzzy about that. And it's one of those things. I don't know if it's mass hysteria and all of us saw it, but like there were like 30 people in this camp, and we also something. We were like outside stargazing and stuff, you know, and you're up in a mountain, like you know, a few thousand feet above sea level, and you know, no light pollution, no anything. All you're seeing is the sky. And we saw something. I don't know what it was, but just recently, about I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. So we live out of the country, and so we're kind of near in between two major Air Force, well, one major Air Force base, right, Pat, you know, in Dayton, Ohio. And there's another military base on the other side, like maybe 20 miles from us. And we see helicopters. Like yesterday, I was mowing the grass and I had a freaking, it's not an Apache. I think it was an Apache. Like, bro, it couldn't have been 500 feet above me. Like, it was awesome to see it, like super close.
Wow.
And you see Chinook all the time. And so anyway, I see that all the time. But this particular evening, we're driving down, and I have no neighbors for miles. So I'm driving down the driveway, and I'm always pointing out the constellations to my kids because I'm, a nerd. And I have one of my kids in the back of the truck, and it's like, hey, buddy, look. And that's, we're looking southwest. It's like, buddy, look. And dude, I start seeing, I have a video, I have recorded it, but I've got this, like, this thing pulls up and goes away. This light comes on and goes away. And another, and another, and another, and all over the place, dude. So I stopped the truck, and I start asking, like, but you're seeing this, right? And he's like, yeah. It's like, okay, like, I'm not crazy.
Wow.
So I love airplanes. I love, aviation. I love military aircraft. Those are not planes. I got the video. That's not planes. It wasn't flares. Flares normally leave a streak.
Right.
They don't just show up and out. Dude, this happened for minutes. I think the video got, it's like a minute and a half.
This is in the night sky. You're seeing this?
Pitch black.
Yeah.
Pitch black. It wasn't bugs, right? It wasn't drones. So I've shown the video to a few people. I don't know. Like, I haven't found one person who can explain to me what it is. To me, it was unidentified. It was flying, and it's an object. So you call it what you want to call it. But my wife makes fun of me. She's like, here we go with the UFO. It's like, well, you tell me. And here's what's funny. So I asked the owners of the house where we live now. Excuse me, they were here a couple of decades. And it's like, oh, we used to see stuff all the time. So dude, like, I don't know. It wasn't flares. So here's what's crazy. I took a video. I posted it in our little town's, like, Facebook group. And somebody's like, oh, that's military exercises. It's like, the base is on the other side. And I know they don't practice right above the base.
Yeah.
But there's no sound, zero sound.
Yeah.
Close enough to where if those had been flares, you could hear the sound of a jet.
Yeah.
I had another friend saying that they were doing some exercises, some other stuff. It's like, okay, look at it. And once I looked at the video, it's like, yeah, that's not like that. But here's what's crazy. So I posted on my Facebook, on my Twitter, and my Instagram. Dude, I normally get some kind of decent traction and stuff. I used all the hashtags.
Right.
I tagged, dude, Commander Fravor, Louis Elizondo. Like, I freaking hashtagged Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Bob Lazar.
Joe Rogan, like,
yeah.
Anybody. Dude, I got no views.
Shadow ban. Hey, welcome to the family. So, we get that a lot on this.
It's just kind of weird. So I posted the other day on my social media. It's like, okay, Roswell, New Mexico, Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, Bob Lazar, the instance in Rua, Zimbabwe, Virginia, Brazil, Phoenix, Arizona, Commander David Fravor. And I just had that meme of that girl going down the slide being, okay, bye. Like, that's what I'm going to say. You know what I mean? Like, but you know what, too, bro? A couple of things on that. So biblically, I talked to pastors about this. It's like, dude, read Ezekiel. The wheel within a wheel within a wheel within a wheel. It's like, okay, that's getting pretty trippy, right? So, I mean, who knows? Everything that got recorded in the Bible, not everything that happened got recorded in the Bible, right?
Right.
If you believe it's a historical account of everything that happened, that's great, but not everything absolutely was recorded. Dude, there's people that believe that's angels and demons, right?
Right.
There's people that believe that some of these things are, I'm gonna get my Alex Jones on, the interdimensional creatures.
Yeah, interdimensional
I
beings.
wish Alex Jones. Yeah, bro, I wish he wasn't right. Like, I wish he wasn't right.
I know, he's so
times.
abrasive and aggressive with his tone, and he turns out to be right about a lot.
Come on, man. But here's what I worry about, bro. I like the conspiracy behind the conspiracy. Like, all of a sudden, now we're being spoon-fed all this stuff. It's like, okay, like, why?
Yep.
Why? I believe that Bob Lazar believes in what he says. I believe him. I believe that Commander Fravor believes in what he says. So I believe that. I didn't see it. I saw what I see. I saw what I saw.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that like we just keep getting like this article and that article, and then all of a sudden there's a task force, and now we're talking to Congress, and
Yeah, Congress, yeah.
like that's cool. But I go like one step back, like, okay, is there something behind this? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Exactly.
So
Yeah. That's a good question.
What's undeniable is that a lot of these things started happening right after we dropped nukes.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of these things happen around military facilities.
Mm-hmm.
That there have been like, dude, I mean, there's a conspiracy against Bob Lazar to be able, like, that they deny that he worked at Los Alamos, and the dude walks into Los Alamos. You know what I mean? Like, he knows everything, everybody. Like, why are you hiding that stuff? The fact that his lab gets raided, 2 times a year for random stuff to see if he has element, 115 or whatever. It's like, okay, there's a conspiracy behind a conspiracy, but dude, also like, bro, who knows what happens when you go to sleep, dude? You know what happens when you're not going to sleep? I don't know.
I don't know.
Just wake up tomorrow, right? Like,
yeah, I wake up and I think I'm here.
Dude,
feels like I'm
are
here.
all these things? Yeah, I mean, could it be these things are breaking through the barrier of other dimensions? If you believe in good, you believe in evil. You believe in the spiritual realm. You believe in angels and demons, and you believe in, I mean, bro, this infinite, ever expanding universe that, like, I mean, mathematically, right?
Yeah.
There's some, bro, I don't know.
No,
I know what I saw was fun. It was cool. I got the video, I can show it to you. It's
yeah.
fun.
No, man, you're right, man. And I mean, I think some of that could be human interactions and things, because I think we have since the 40s been reverse engineering some of this stuff. I know the Nazis actually had a lot of tech. Supposedly they were working with an off-world civilization, and there's actually supposedly a break-off civilization that's on Mars right now. From, I mean, it's a longer conspiracy, but
right.
there's stuff out there. I mean, we have CERN now, which there's been talk from, there's been articles that they usually get squashed pretty quick, but from people that have been inside who may have worked there, where there's been some experiments and things going on that may have opened portals to other dimensions. There's something that I talked to, I had a guest, Kerwin, on just recently, and he researches from a biblical aspect, the Mandela effect, and that's a big thing going on. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's where we remember vividly in our mind something, but when you go to look at it, it's different. Like, for instance, we have Costco's around here. I've always remembered it as Costco, which is Cosco. But if you go look at the website or you go to the store now, it has a T in it. It's Costco.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the reality we're living in. But why do I and lots of people remember it the other way? Kind of stuff like that. So, are we slipping dimensions, timelines? That's a whole nother podcast. But
yeah.
when it comes to alien life, what do you think about actual physical beings that are not of this world? You don't have to talk about it if you're not.
No, bro. Here's what I tell you. I would love for nothing more than for that to be true. Like, dude. But the thing is that there's people. That's my challenge. Like, I get so geeked out with this stuff, like that. I it's hard for me to be objective. But the challenge is that there's people who, again, maybe, I don't know if they become millionaires with this, but they made money off of some terrible documentaries and making some crazy claims and stuff like that. But the fact is, like, that Roswell, New Mexico footage, bro, like, I mean, that stuff is, I know it's, 80 years old or however long it is, right? I can't do math, 60 years old. but it's, I
Yeah,
mean, they
something like that.
came out with it, and like, you know, that's at a time that nobody had a reason really to come out and you know, they start to expose this stuff. Um, I mean, Grosh, the gentleman that just came out with the whistleblower.
Grush, Dave. Is
Grosh,
it
yeah,
Dave Grush? Yeah.
yep. I mean, dude, that dude is as vetted of a person as you can be. You know, military intelligence, like, you know, war veteran, et cetera, et cetera. But then what they do is they try to go after his character. Well, he had PTSD. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's got nothing to do with the fact that, you know, he's whistleblowing about this stuff. I understand people got frustrated the fact that, well, you know, he didn't say a bunch of stuff in the hearing. Well, he couldn't because he's being very careful right now because you know, he can't break protocol. He can't break the secrecy. So, you know, he said, take me to a skiff and I'll tell you. And they didn't take him to a skiff.
Yeah.
So the other thing is he said he hasn't seen anything himself. It's just stuff that he's investigated. But I mean, that was his job. Dude, the one thing that did you watch Moment of Contact?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Bro, before you go to bed tonight, I don't know if you'll be able to sleep, but watch that. James Fox, Moment of Contact. That's a Virginia, Brazil incident. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but there is some stuff that happened with actual, again, allegedly beings, and some crazy stuff that happened to the people who were in contact with them. Like one of them was like a soldier for the Brazilian army, I believe, and the dude died of some crazy bacterial infection. Like
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the documentary is crazy. Like the accounts that they have, these people are going back to this place like 20 or 30 years later.
Yeah.
They're breaking down emotional. Like either these people are the best, you know, actors on earth, or they saw something that they believe, you know, is it. So I haven't seen any. I say that I'd like to see one, but I don't know about that. Not by myself, because I'll just, you know, pee my pants probably, or just shoot at it. I don't want to do either. But
is it Stephen Greer who has one of them has the outings you can pay to go out, and apparently every time they see stuff. So
they call it right.
They manifest
right,
it.
Or Arizona.
Yeah. Sedona, I think maybe.
Yep.
Sedona.
Dr. Greer. He was my introduction to this stuff. I think at some point like looking for some stuff on the internet, and he pulled up, like, let me see some. He's got a couple of things. A lot of people claim that, you know, that he's making money of it, et cetera. But whatever. I mean, I mean, dude, everybody has to make a living somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about actual beings. I think Travis Walton believes that he was abducted and he was in the ship. Now, was this dude asleep? And I don't know, but he was gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
He was gone for 3 days.
Talking about Barney and Betty Hill.
No, so they were like the first case, right, of documented.
Yeah, they're in their car.
Right. No, Travis Walton, this dude was a logger, I think in Oregon, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, I believe. And Travis Walton, they made a movie about him called Fire in the Sky.
Okay, I've heard of that.
But his count is awesome. It's amazing. I think I'm pretty sure Rogan had him on. But he's been a few different podcasts, and his story, if you just look him up on YouTube, is unless it gets curated for you. But it's crazy. Dude. Like he had a fight with somebody, and then they were logging, and they saw something. He got out of the truck, and he went towards it, and the thing shut him up, and then he was gone for days, like 3 days. He was gone, then magically reappeared in the town where they were. Everybody's been looking for him. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'm glad they brought him back. That was nice.
Yeah. Right. But and there's so many counts of, you know, the tall whites or the grays or the I mean, I don't know, bro. One thing that's always curious to me is like, why don't these things appear in the middle of the day most of them? Because, you know, like the pictures you see in the middle of the day is somebody throwing a frisbee. You know, that Battle of LA, that really happened.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was the 50s, right? So
yeah. California.
Yeah, I mean the lights over the White House, and I think it's the 40s or the 50s too.
Yeah, I believe it was
50s.
To
happen, yeah, it tend to happen at night. So it's like, I don't know. I'm a skeptic. I just like this story too much. So
Yeah.
I'm too invested. But dude, I mean, if it's if it's angels or demons or interdimensional beings, I mean, dude, who knows? I
Yeah, I mean,
I,
it could be.
I, the government, bro. I trust the government as far as I can throw it, and I don't throw that good. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so chances are, if they've crashed, because that's the other thing people say. Well, why would they crash if they're so advanced? Who knows, right? Maybe an electrical storm. Maybe who knows? Maybe we've shot at it. I mean, who knows? And if they recover some stuff, you bet, you bet they've got it. They got some stuff.
Yeah.
So if they
Yeah.
recover it, they're not gonna just we'll just leave it there. Nah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think?
Um, well, I mean, I think in my opinion that there are I know that Egypt hieroglyphics have shown that beings, they've drawn beings on the wall that didn't look quite human, and things like that, and that tells kind of a story that there were different beings on this planet at one point. Maybe they seeded us here, and if you get scientifically, and I'm not a scientist, but if you get a little scientific about stuff, when it comes to our DNA, there is a gene that I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's been spliced. um, you can see, if you follow the DNA strand and the structure, everything's pristine and it looks good until you come to this one strand, and you can see where it has been split. Something has been removed and has been kind of sewn back together, and that's in all human kind now. So who did that, and what was that? Are we genetically engineered? Were we changed? There's theories that we were humanity was a race that came from another planet, that we were seeded on this planet for slave purposes, and for maybe research purposes. We've evolved, and there's, depending on how far back you go into history, there's theories that we're like the sixth creation, the sixth set of human civilization to walk this planet, that 5 other times before that our entire civilization has been wiped out and then repopulated. Who's doing that? So it just depends. I can go like all kinds of different ways with this. With my beliefs and my mindset is I'm open to things.
Yeah.
The only thing that I know is for sure is that in my opinion, there are other entities, whether they are dimensional, interdimensional, parallel universes, whatever, that we are connected to something, and whatever we're connected to, there's probably other life forms connected to it. I think it's ignorant to think that we are the only evolved species in the universe, in the cosmos. There's billions and billions of universes. What that means, what they are, I don't know. I've had people on here that say the earth is flat. I have a lot of people that say that we are living in a simulation. So all that, I don't know. The jury's still out on that, but I guess long answer short is I do believe in aliens, but I do not know who they are, what they are, or what they want.
Right.
So
Yeah, that simulation theory stuff it's crazy when you think about the possibility and the probability. It's actually it's more probable that it is than it is. It's like, okay,
that's
I'm
true.
done here. Like my brain just exploded.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, I'm gonna go out here and sit on my front porch here and see if I can catch something. I'll get another video and send it to you, because
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Victor. This has been a great podcast. I do want to give you the opportunity to say, what is it that you do? I know you said you do a financial services business. Yeah, how can you help any of the guests that may come onto the program, or anybody that's viewing the podcast tonight? I guess give you your contact information and things like that if you want to.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate that. Yeah, so we do just financial education, just helping people understand how money works in this crazy world that we live in, where markets are, or finance is one of these things that you talk about conspiracy, that they make it seem so difficult that that the regular person doesn't know how to do it. We turn financial education into the simplest terms. And people have the ability, whether you're 18 or 81, whether you have 25 million or $25, it doesn't matter. Like everyone has the ability and the dignity, or should have the dignity, to at least make an effort to not suffer financially, not struggle. So we'll people do things like eliminate debt, save and invest for retirement, protection, everything like that, and work with people who want to work with us. So yeah, we have the ability to pretty much help most people, if not everybody. And so I'm on social media, Victor Zancudo. There's two people with that name in the world. One of them doesn't have social media. And so Victor Zancudo, yeah, Zancudo means mosquito in Spanish, if people forget, and Victor's Victor. Yeah, dude, if I'm happy to get in touch with people, and Instagram, Facebook. I'm not very active on my Twitter, X, whatever it is now, but I post things. I mainly go to Twitter. It's a dumpster fire, so I mainly go there to check, see how bad the fire is today. But Instagram mostly, on Facebook and stuff like that. But yeah, man, you'll see a bald guy with a beard, or sometimes no beard. That's me. Happy to get in touch with people, answer questions, help them out. Man, I left my career as an engineer to help people with their money, to help people do better, and to help people understand that they could also potentially leave their career and go do something that makes a difference. And so I'm always happy to answer questions. I appreciate the opportunity for you to let me mention that. And, dude, the opportunity to talk, this was great. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was, man. I'm gonna have to have you back. We'll talk again some other time, man. And do you have an email address that we can reach you at?
Yes, it's my name, last name, so victor.zancudo@gmail. It's the easiest one to go for. So
all right, man. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and yeah, you'll definitely have to send that video if you go out and catch anything tonight in your skies there, man. So
I will, bro.
We'll be chatting, man. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, man. You too.
For All Aware, I am Nathan Roshan, and you are All Aware. Have a good night.